So what do you prefer more, the voiceover work or actually being on screen?
Man, it's tough to call.
Yeah.
For convenience sake, I prefer the voiceover work because you don't have to wait for anybody else to get dressed, or you don't have to wait for the camera to set up or the lights and none of that. You show up and get busy.
Yeah.
For what it does for me to perform, it's hard to beat the demands of on-camera acting because you never know what you might have to pull out of your toolbox. And what I've learned is the more full and dynamic life that I can live in real life, the better prepared I am for any role that comes my way. You know?
So how have you been enjoying being on the series, and how did you sort of figure out how you want your character to be? Did you watch the old movie? Did you sort of watch other action movies?
You know, I didn't. I'm always cautious. This is only the second remake I've ever done. I did a remake of a film called Shall We Dance, and did an American version of it. And I didn't watch that film before we filmed that. I can remember True Lies like I just walked out of the theater, though. I mean, the film was huge. It was a huge part of my teenage years and the whole song and dance. So I didn't have to go far to remember what it was. But for me, the prep was about trying to really understand how we were going to create our own thing out of something that is so well known. Because that's a challenge. Because if you go make a film or a show based on something that everybody knows,
Right.
that's hard. You know, is it too soon or blah, blah, blah?
Expectations live up to
The
it.
expectations, yeah. This is a real thing, especially for the big guy because those big shoes to fill. You know what I mean? And so for me, I wanted to be there to support, but to bring the flavor of our own stuff. You know what I mean? And you see what they did, what CBS did is fantastic in the way that the casting is diverse. Ginger's an Asian woman that plays Helen. I'm a black man playing Gib. You know what I mean? Erica is of Colombian descent that plays Maria. Steve obviously is not Austrian. And so then we have a lot of, I like the update, and I hope we can, make our own thing and make it good while living up to the film. You know?
We get a lot of cameos in the show.
Yeah.
You've seen a few of them in the first few episodes. Do you have a favorite cameo of the group?
So far, honestly, I really loved working with Keith David.
That's cool.
I mean, I've watched Keith David my whole life, watching him on films and television films, and listening to his voiceover commercials and all sorts of stuff.
Right.
Damn near made me want to join the Air Force with his voiceovers, but thank God I don't fit in the cockpit; it's too small. But he was great, and he played my father on the show, and you'll see that in a couple episodes. And what it does is it really mines it gave me as a performer a solid backstory for Gib and how you end up in this space of an individual who's a tech savvy kid that's interested in, who can tolerate being in a van, quarterbacking a mission with high stakes and blah 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 and blah blah blah. So I'm really excited for that. I'm really excited to see how it turns out. I'm with you guys. I haven't seen the episodes before you guys see them. They sent them, but I haven't watched them. So, I like watching the show with my mom on Wednesdays. So it is what it is. So I'm my number one fan, regardless of what it is.
Did you have a favorite episode that you actually worked on outside of just the cameos? Like a favorite episode that you're excited for us to probably see?
That one was pretty good. It was different. It was pretty good. But honestly, I'm really excited to see the finale. The finale is something totally different from the rest of the show, and that could work or could not work. and that makes me excited. I think that when you tune into a show like this, when you're on a broad network, everybody kind of knows what they're tuning in for and what they're hoping to get, and there's an exchange going on between the performers knowing what we're supposed to deliver and the audience knowing what they want to see. Good guys versus bad guys, this is what you're tuning in for on CBS. And I don't think that's a bad thing. In the finale, we kind of throw the formula up against the wall and reorder it. And I think that if it came off as cool as it was when we were doing it, it could be a weird, trippy, challenging thing. And if not, then people are going to be like, man, that True Lies finale was dumb. So I'm banking on the former. We'll see.
Do you
enjoy the balance of, that it's an action series, but also very lighthearted at the same time?
To me, that's the sweet spot. I love that. I don't know if you had more to that question because I cut you off. I'm sorry, but that's the sweet spot. I don't. I think that if you're going to do a full action thing, I would be interested in doing more action. So I would get in better shape to do some action. We're having a fun time with action. I don't think the show. I don't ever feel like you should feel like we're going to lose as the team Omega. We may run into some obstacles. Things are going to be difficult. In theory, you're rooting for us to win, and hopefully we win. This is what you get with the procedural, and this is one episode. You get the beginning, middle, and end, and keep it moving. To me, the real sweet spot and the beauty of the show is when we explore the idiosyncrasies of real life within the spy world. Because it's high stakes when you got sewage coming out of your kitchen sink. You're going to see down the road, Gib ends up trying to, after he talks all crazy in the first couple episodes about not having a relationship, he ends up goo goo gaga-eyed over a woman. And so you're going to see that. How does he balance that? And when you're having relationship problems, how do you balance that within making sure that you quarterback a mission that doesn't make for a massive war or catastrophe? So to me, that's the fun and the sweet spot of the show, more so than, say, some of your more serious action shows on television. Action comedy is a unique thing that's hard. It's difficult to do, and I think that's why they got Matt, is because he's done it before with Burn Notice.
So, as a person of color, I'm very excited about the role you play because it's not necessarily a role we see often. When you first got that script description, when they pitched it to you, how excited were you, and what did you bring to it to personalize it and make it your own?
I'm glad you brought that up because for me, I could go out and do artsy fare, and it would be satisfying to me as a performer. There was a period before I even started doing television where all I did was films, and there was a lot of independent films in there, different stuff. Then I did CSI Miami, and it opened my eyes to the global importance of the representation of people of color in affirming roles. Now, we're not a monolith, so I don't think that it has to be only positively affirming roles. For me, I know I shine when I'm making us as people of color and black people in particular be morally sound and look good on television. I hate that it's a thing, but it is still a thing. I hate that it's that way, but it matters because there are people around the world who don't know black people, or they don't know people of color they're foreign to them more so than just their indigenous state. And if the only representation you see is of the robbers, the bad guy, or on the news in some sort of tawdry way, that's detrimental to society. So for me, in all honesty, I would have been on CSI Miami for 30 years because the character Walter was a scientist. He was a law enforcement figure that was not corrupt. These things are important. It's a small contribution on some level, but it's a large contribution on another level. So I've had multiple people write me letters and come up to me when they see me in person and say that they took a forensic science class or they got into criminal justice or criminal justice reform based on watching a television show. That means a lot to me. So when I see that and I see what this role is, it makes me lean towards doing it. Cool part about this is you're not only a good guy because he is practicing constant deception, but it's a constant deception for a greater good in theory. Anybody else? That's it. All right. I love it.
Thank you.
I thank you guys for watching the show.
Can I
I
get
appreciate
more?
it.
Are there differences between your character now than Walter? I mean, all
Yeah.
that time in CSI.
Yeah.
What
For
are the
one, I was
differences?
much younger and I didn't have gray hair. So there's a big difference in
Wizard,
that.
man.
Yeah, exactly.
Wizard.
Exactly. But I think that, they're both in law enforcement on different levels. Walter's in law enforcement on a county level. It was the PD. It was a city level. It was a county level. which has a different implication than Gib running missions around the world that may be in these kind of CIA off-site, kind of secret, clandestine kind of places.
Sure.
So I think that there's a difference there. I think that the setup is different because Walter was much more of an ancillary player as opposed to Gib being more of a central player, He's more of a central player within the team. And what you'll see as the episodes continue, he also takes on more of a supervisor role of giving the missions and quarterbacking the missions and determining who does what.
So he's a different kind of carry in the show.
Yeah, it's a much different kind of carry in the show, much heavier carry. And I think that for us on a production level, as the episodes continue, you'll see better quality episodes. Just for production's sake of proximity and chemistry. When we shot the pilot, it was a year before we started the series. That's a year separate from all the people that you see on screen, and that's from everybody.
You
from
kind
the
of see that difference between episode 1 and 2.
I think so.
You do.
I think so, and I think that with the episode that just aired in number 4 with Matthew Lillard, you start to see the show come into focus in a better way. In a more of a way that's more like, oh, okay, this is what they're going for. It's lighter. I think, me personally, I prefer the show when it leans into the lightness of it. You know what I mean? Maybe the heaviness of relationships and all of that entails a full person, but the lightness of, we're making a TV show, guys. Let's not, we are in fact not curing cancer. So let's keep it fun. Yeah. There's a way for you to escape after your long week, your long day, and that's what we're going for.